And so you should have received the message that now you are being recorded. All right, so good afternoon and welcome to, I think it's the fourth installment in the 2022 fall school year of our Friday social hours. I am your host, Dr. Noelle Cutter from the First Year Experience. With me today, I have two co-hosts, Deborah McCarthy, as well as Dr. Kim Langenmeyer. Dr. Langenmeyer is going to be talking to everyone here today about international education. And I know we have a number of students and faculty and community members with us today that have all experienced international travel. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts, my thoughts, Dr. Langenmeyer's thoughts, Deborah McCarthy's thoughts. All of us have been on some of these journeys. So thank you and welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Dr. Cutter. I appreciate that. And thank you for inviting me. And thank you all for taking the time to attend today. We're really excited about having conversations with you about international travel. I'll start off by telling you a little bit about myself. I am the Director of International Education at Malloy University. And I've only been here a short period of time. Cindy and we started just prior to the pandemic. And we were able to get one trip off before that hit. We went to Cuba and it was an awesome trip. We highly recommend traveling. Obviously, it's something that you want to do before you graduate from Malloy, because not just because it looks good on a resume, it's really about you being able to learn more about yourself. So I want to tell you a little bit about my experiences, but I don't want to dominate the conversation. I want to give those who have, especially those who have traveled with Malloy, an opportunity to share a little bit about themselves and a trip that they've taken with Malloy as well. And I'll do that in just a minute. But I'm a global citizen. Oh, international traveler. I traveled the world. I've lived around the world. Lived in Germany. I've lived in Africa. I've lived in India. I've lived in China. I've taken several trips with students throughout my career as an educator, taken nearly over 100 students specifically to regions in West Africa with an Afrocentric program that I'm affiliated with, and trips around India with students who either were from or not from India, because I lived there for 5 years. It's a long story, but not to cut to the chase here. I am an international traveler and I can see the value in it. And that's why being at Malloy is really, truly, Cindy and I talk about this a lot. It's like our dream job, because we get to travel and we get to travel with young people and seeing the impact that international experiences have on their lives. You know what, good, bad, or ugly, it really does change you. And I highly recommend, again, that you take advantage of that so that you can learn a little bit more about yourself. So I want to turn it over to Dr. Cutter to share with you one of her most, a highlight of the trips that she's taken with Malloy.
I've been very fortunate. So I've gone on 3 international trips. The first one was to the Galapagos, and I feel like that's enough said. Like I don't have to even really say anything else. Incredible. My second and third trips were both with the honors program. The first one we traveled to Salzburg, and my highlight from that was visiting Dachau, which was a concentration camp. So just kind of that impact, you can't really prepare or describe, I think, the impact of visiting a place like that. And part of that reflection, we had the grandson of a Nazi war general, as well as a granddaughter of a family that was a Jewish family that had been sent to a concentration camp. So we got to kind of hear the dialogue between the two. And again, that was just life-changing. It was so life-changing that I came back and wrote an abstract proposal for TEDx, where I presented on why it's important to be a global citizen through the lens of being someone who's in cancer research. So that whole experience really kind of shaped my own personal work. This past May, June, I also traveled with the honors group. It was the first time traveling since our trip to Austria, and we went to Ireland, and that was a unique experience. But we were very much impacted by COVID, the students, the faculty traveling with us. And I felt like every day we were making decisions on the fly. But I think that trip was really about teamwork, mentorship, and friendship. So I travel a lot with Dr. Ponzer, and we were roommates for 10 days in isolation, and you really get to know a lot about a person over 10 days. And I think he and I kind of have this quirky friendship now that I was like, we're never going to get rid of each other because of that experience that we shared. So those kind of shared experiences, good, bad, and ugly, are really transformative, help you to grow as a person, and build lifelong friendships for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm looking forward to future trips because they have personally impacted me so much, and who I am as an instructor, as a mom, as a friend. So I am very grateful for international education, and specifically for Molloy to allowing us to have these opportunities together.
Thank you. And you're so right. Really, each experience really does shape who you are and how you move forward after that. And so it's like trying to explain to someone, what does water taste like? You need to drink the water to understand what we're talking about. And then you'll see. Deborah, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the trip that you took with Molloy, and the impact on the students, and just the whole highlight of your experience.
Thank you, Dr. Langenmeyer. I just wanted to say what a unique opportunity, and I suggest that all Molloy students really reach out to your office if they have the opportunity. Look into global education. These faculty-led trips are amazing. I did a trip with to Vienna and Prague with students and faculty. Professor Paul Van Wee was on the trip, as well as Dr. Johnny Turno and Christine Barrow from Criminal Justice. And we had the opportunity to go to the UN and listen to the director of the UN speak to us about what was going on in criminal justice and the things that the UN were involved in on a global international scale. And Dr. Eterno and Dr. Barrow set that up for the criminal justice students, as well as the poli-sci students. So it was just a unique experience. And to have these faculty that are so knowledgeable, showing us the Belvedere and the crypts, it was just phenomenal. So if you have a chance, look into these trips. You will not be disappointed. Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. I just want to piggyback on that really quickly. What you touched on there with the faculty that are taking these trips, and you get to go and attend these trips through the lens of criminology, as an example for the trip that Deborah went on. You're with the leading experts in that field. Johnny Turno is a published academician in the field of criminology. And the reason why they have those connections to attend those lectures is because of him. So it's really a unique experience. And as you become a professional, to be able to say that you attended a trip like this internationally, first of all, that looks really good. But with leaders in the field, in their academic area, it's impressive. And you learn along the way, not just about yourself, but about what it is that we hope that you're passionate about. And what better way to explore your passion than internationally with experts in the field. So thanks for bringing up that point, Deborah. I really appreciate it. Keisha, are you going to be available to share some of your experiences? I'll jump to Cindy first, but if you're ready on the, I expect to see you here, but yeah, why not? You've traveled with Malloy?
Yes, I have. And I
Where
kind
and
of
with who?
echo, so I kind of echo what Noelle said. You know, there are a lot of bonds that you create, not only with the faculty that you share these chaperone responsibilities with, but also with the students. You create such long-lasting bonds. I've traveled to Japan, China, Germany, and I also went, Noel, to the Krakow concentration camp, as well
Wait,
as
all with Malloy?
all with the Malloy.
Wow. Okay.
Let me see. There are other Portugal, London. Oh, where else?
Malloy has filled your passport.
Lithuania, yes. It is a lot of, from a chaperone's perspective, it is a lot of work because you have to be up 24/7, but it's so amazing in terms of things that you see.
You're getting me.
You do.
Somebody needs to mute their mic.
Yeah. And the incredible activities that you know, are planned on these trips. Like, they're so meaningful and you learn so much. It's just a fantastic opportunity, an opportunity I wish I had when I was in college, but unfortunately I couldn't travel. But
you made up
and
for it while
prize,
you're here.
yes,
You made up for it. Don't
yes.
be unfortunately. You made up for it at Malloy.
And for the price, you're not going to get a better trip. You can try on, you know, like Groupon vacations and things like that, but you're not going to get what you get at Malloy. It's such an incredible value.
Dr. Langemeyer, I'd like to piggyback off of what Professor Chandler just said. I did some extensive traveling as a flight attendant before I was a Malloy student and a Malloy employee. I just wanted to mention that Malloy Global Trips are phenomenal because everything is set up for you. From the moment you get off the plane, actually from the moment you sign up, Amanda, your administrative assistant, and your director, Cindy, you guys do a phenomenal job of getting everybody prepared and ready for that trip. From the passports, everything is set up. You're on the plane, you're off the plane, you're on a bus, you have all of the travel is, you have a guided person who is very knowledgeable about that country. Everything is set up for you. So it's a great way to travel.
Yeah, that is, I tell you, and people don't really appreciate that until they experience it. Just this with the smoothness that it typically takes place is really what it's all about. Because when you start to travel on your own, it doesn't work that way. You have to navigate the system on your own, which is also an excellent learning opportunity. But if you are in a situation where you haven't traveled before, you haven't left the country, you really want to, maybe you've traveled with your family, but never with your school, and you're ready to branch out, this is a perfect opportunity to do something like that while you're here at Malloy. Because we take care of the details, like you said. We make sure, not we as in just the three of us, we have a travel agency that's well established around the world that we've been affiliated with for over 20 years. So there is a lot of details behind the scene, but it's definitely worth it. Once we see the impact on the students and how it changes lives, it's all worth it. I feel like I'm receiving an award. I'm not. It is a lot of work and it's good. It's like I said earlier, it's the dream job. So when you love it, it's really not work anymore. Speaking of not work anymore, where's Cindy? Cindy.
I'm here. I had to take a call, but I'm here. But
okay.
As Kim was saying that, you know, we do love our jobs. We love the opportunity to, you know, offer these great opportunities for our students at Malloy. And my primary role is like the liaison. I'm like the middle person that everybody goes to. So when the faculty proposes a program, they fill out a proposal form, they send it to our department, we review the details of the program, we get it approved, and then the work goes to send it off to our travel agent. So our travel agent is Celestial Voyages. We have this great relationship with them for over 20 years. They really understand like our needs, and we have a great relationship that we can go back and forth and say, we really want to make this trip affordable for our students. So we work out the details. We revise the itinerary to fit all our goals, especially what the objective the professors want for the students to have these experiences. So it's a really great opportunity, and we really just fine tune the itinerary. We make it, accessible to everybody. The professors have to approve of the itinerary fully in order for us to release the information. So we have streamlined our processes, over the years, and we're really proud of that. We really honed down on, the registration packet, making it as easy as, less work as possible for our students, and really want to make, traveling a priority for our students here at Malloy.
Yep. So once you sign on, it's pretty, you stay in touch with us, and it's pretty smooth from there on out. Cindy, what was the highlight of the trip to Cuba? Again, Cuba's not an easy place to go. Let me just say this really quickly. Cuba's not an easy place to visit, in that the restrictions between America and Cuba made it a little bit more of a challenge, but we were able to create this opportunity just before the pandemic hit. And an area, a location like that is a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah, I say my
Unless
most
you're-
memorable moment for that trip is because, we volunteer our mornings until around 12 o'clock at the senior center. And to see these seniors every single day, I don't speak Spanish. Kim didn't speak Spanish, but it didn't matter that we didn't speak the language. We went to see them every day. We did arts and crafts with them. We helped them paint, a room. We sat there, we held their hands. Kim did nail polish with the seniors. It was so meaningful to just see their smiling faces. And at the last day, with that Friday when we said goodbye, there were so many tears.
Yeah.
We made this connection with them. Just the 5 days, they were so happy to see us and to make that connection. That one was very impactful for me, to see their happy faces.
Definitely. And that's, again, it's another one of those experiences that you're not going to have on a family trip. These are academically and service-oriented trips that you can take advantage of through our department, and you're with your peers and you're with your faculty members. So it's really a great opportunity for you. And I wanted to give you a chance to hear from the students' perspective. Shannon, if you wouldn't mind, share some of your highlights or insights based on traveling with Malloy.
Yeah, so I'm a senior nursing student here at Malloy, and over back in May, I went on the Ireland trip with Dr. Lingermeyer and Dr. Cutter, and it was really one of the best experiences I ever had traveling with Malloy. It was definitely a little bit rocky, but I think that I really put a lot of trust and faith in Malloy to take care of us and to know what to do, and they really did. They really proved that they were able to handle any situation that came their way. And I really felt like I was given the opportunity to learn a lot about like myself and create amazing relationships with my peers, with people that I had known for 4 years, but never really got to get to know really well. And I feel like it was so great to just get to be in this environment where we really worked together. There was a lot of teamwork, and it taught me a lot about myself and my own personal experiences. And it was so good that I'm actually going to be going to Vietnam this December with Malloy, and actually about 5 or 6 of us that went on that Ireland trip will be returning and going to Vietnam, and hopefully doing some more trips throughout our senior year. So it was great.
Thanks, Shannon. And that's honestly, that is the vision and the objective of our department, is for those of you, especially if you've never traveled or if you have concerns about traveling, to get you in and show you how easy it really can be to manage and go on a trip and have this experience. And then after that, the idea being that you want to go and do things on your own now, and you become an independent traveler. You truly do become a global citizen. And that's our objective here. So what we want to do now is give you an opportunity, for those of you who have traveled abroad, to speak a little bit about it. Before I turn it over to the entire floor, I just recognize Levi is here, right?
Yes, hello, hi.
Hi, Levi. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Is it possible that we see you? There you are. Thank you.
Yes, hi.
I actually want to talk to you after this meeting about planning a trip to London West End for CAP 21 program. But if you wouldn't mind sharing some of your international experience, just a little bit about your story is fascinating. And I know that people would love to hear that.
Yes, absolutely. So I used to live in the UK as well. I was born in America, mostly raised, but I lived in the UK for about 3 years. I've also been fortunate enough to travel to, I think, 20 countries and 3 territories in my travels, mostly across Europe. So, I mean, it's just been an incredible experience, but actually living abroad is a whole other ballgame. I mean, it really does. I mean, culture shock, very real thing, even in another English speaking country, very real thing. And I think, you know, having a little bit of that even on a visit is just so, it's really refreshing, actually, just being able to experience someone else's culture and start, you know, taking little bits of it and taking pieces of it with you and holding on to it. It's a really special thing, I think. And traveling to different places, I think I've done that as well. I have stories that I like to tell people. Like, I mean, when I went to Belgium, I went for 1 day, and it just happened to be the coronation of a new king that day, and there was just like festivals everywhere.
Wow.
And it was so beautiful. I literally will never forget it. It was just absolutely stunning.
And unexpected, right?
Oh, totally unexpected. I mean, what are the odds? What are the odds? But yeah, I think definitely traveling to some of those places, even if it's just for like 1 or 2 days, it totally makes a difference.
Mhm. So how has, you're okay with me asking you questions?
Oh, of course, yeah.
How has experiencing other cultures like you were just sharing, how has it shaped who you are today?
Gosh, I mean, that's a tough one. I think definitely living in the UK as well. I mean, because my mom is British as well, so it helped me to sort of, you know, figure out like what her life was like when she was younger in a sort of way, because I actually lived in the town that she grew up in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And to do that, I mean, I know a lot of us do that like in our own countries, but to be able to do that in another country, it was just such a wild experience. And to sort of have a piece of her childhood as well and get a little view of her when she was growing up, it changed everything for me, really, and just gave me a new appreciation for that. But taking, you know, other places that I've been and just reaching out and meeting new people, just not being afraid to say hi. I mean, even if they're also travelers that are visiting. I know that when my family went to Turks and Caicos, we did that. There were a bunch of I think they were Marines. They were just visiting as well, and we cooked dinner for them, and it was a great time. And it was just,
wow.
It's just about creating those memories and not being afraid to take the leap.
Yes.
And just even if it's other travelers, you know, I mean,
Yes.
it's all about the stories and being able to tell those later.
Absolutely. And it really does shape who you are. Just like you were saying, you know, I'm comfortable looking at people and saying hello. It's such an impactful experience that you don't necessarily know how it's going to change you until you do it. Wait, I'm just curious, what years were you in school? Or how old were you when you were living in London? Were you going to school? What was that?
So I was in a public school in like about 20 minutes outside of London. I was 11 to 14 years old. So I was in middle school.
Oh, wow. Formative years. Okay.
Yeah.
Go?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of them there just love anything American. So people were instantly drawn to both me and my sister. I mean, not only is it exciting that there's no, not just one American, but there's two of them and they're twins. Like most exciting
wow.
thing that has ever happened to them in their years of school at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my friends told me that their younger sister had gone home and told their parents. They were like, "Oh my God, there's this new kid in my class, and he's American." And it was just the funniest thing to me because I didn't think anything else of it, but just to other people, they also want to learn about you, and
Mhm.
I think sharing that with them as well is important. But yeah, I was in middle school there, so but of course it's combined with high school there. They do a secondary school.
Okay.
So I was with high school aged kids as well, and they were just as interested. And I think also getting to be with much older kids than me was a good experience for me and helped
Mhm,
as far
mhm.
as my growth as a person.
I just want to
Interesting.
echo in that too, because I'm my husband's actually from England, Northeast England, so he sounds more Scottish than British. But you know, it's impacted my kids because when they were first learning language, they had this kind of American British twang, and you know, pre-COVID and now post. Not that we're really past COVID yet, but we've spent our summers there, and just kind of just like Levi said, just being immersed in the
Mhm.
culture, like living with the family and not visiting as a tourist is a completely different experience. And I think one of the things that Malloy Travel brings is that experience that you're really immersed in the culture and you're not there as a tourist. You're there as a student, you're learning the curriculum and you're really experiencing it from a different lens. So
Mhm.
you know, certainly Levi, your experience is you're so fortunate. I keep telling my girls this. I'm like, you can go to school there. And, you know, it's just, they don't realize how fortunate they are to kind of have these experiences in travel. And, you know, I didn't travel till I was 21. So, so Levi, you know, I think that your perspective there is really spot on.
Dr. Langermeyer,
Yes.
if any of the students are doing work study, could some of their work study possibly go towards Malloy Travel? Is that a possibility?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great idea. So if you guys have work study, Cindy, am I understanding that correctly? If they have work study time or hours, then does it,
That's a financial aid question that I'm
you know
not
what, we'll work
sure.
it out. If people are interested, yeah, we are always, well, we do have a work study now. Sufyan, say hi. Sufyan is our new work study, but if it works out,
Hello.
or we can have others, absolutely, because we're a very busy place here. And, you know, organizing world travel for students and faculty is a full-time job. And always, always, always worth it, like I said earlier. That's a good point, Deborah. Let's revisit that. Levi, I want to piggyback on something that you said about how when you were in London and you guys were in school, you and your sister, and how everyone knew you or wanted to get to know you. And I just think that's such an interesting perspective for us as Americans to be able to experience. Because you think that it's going to be, you know, if you have this international experience, people are so different, but they just really want to get to know you. They really want to get to know you. And then, yeah, they do go home and be like, I met an American today. And then you get to go home and say, look who I met today. So it's an excellent experience that you can't have really until you do it. I was wondering, Levi, if you would be comfortable if we opened up for people to ask you questions about your experience there. And then I want us to start talking about those of you who have had international experiences and what that was like.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to ask anything.
Thanks, Levi. Anybody have questions? Just unmute. You don't have to necessarily make it so that we can see you, although it would be nice if you're asking a question to unmute and then let us see your face. And that's if you have questions for Levi or anyone.
Oh yeah, I have a question.
Thank you.
Would you say you prefer living in the UK over America or vice versa?
This is a question I get quite often, and I find it so tough to answer just because, I mean, you wouldn't expect it. A lot of people I have a bunch of friends who just went there for the first time on a trip. It's so vastly different. I mean, again, it was a real culture shock. Like, I'd visited before I actually moved there, but it really was a totally different experience. I mean, I'm from Orlando, so back there it wasn't really normal for me to walk to school by myself as like a middle schooler. But when I went to the UK, that was just like commonplace for me, and I don't know, it's just so different. There's totally different concerns and worries as far as, you know, safety and stuff, and I think that changed my experience a lot. But it's just so different. Like, I can't even explain. I mean, like, even something so simple as grocery shopping. Like, I mean, my mom, here in the United States, my mom would never send me on a trip because it's like a drive away, but I could literally just walk to the grocery store, carry the cart back, return it. And it's the little things like that just are so different that I loved living there, but I can't say that I prefer one over the other because they're just so different. I don't think I can really compare them.
That's fair enough. Thanks, Levi. Any other questions for Levi? Annie?
Yeah, I have a question. What was your favorite part of being in the UK? Like, what was your best like experience?
Gosh, best experience of being in the UK. Another tough one. I mean, definitely, like I said before, getting to grow up in the same town that my mother grew up in, just doing that in another country. I know that that's kind of common for people who, like, I mean, in America, like if you're a small town kid growing up at the same town that your parents and your grandparents grew up in. But getting to do that in a country that I was not originally from was definitely just a cool thing. And getting to compare the changes that my mom had, like before, you know, the iPhone and all of that came in. Just getting to see like the cultural shift and having my mom tell stories of when she was younger and be able to point to that place over there and see, I didn't make that up. Like, it's a real thing. Yeah, I think that was definitely one of the things I appreciated most about being there. Also getting a feel, because again, Orlando, not very much like New York as far as public transport, but getting used to that system before moving to New York for the first time, I think was great practice for me for the subway system, because that's a little tough to navigate if you've never been on it. But having that's part of what drew me to Malloy. And I think that those experiences prior when you're traveling can help, you know, shape the future, I guess. I mean, what made me feel at home here was, you know, knowing that I had to commute into the city like twice a week for my classes. And for me, that was just like, oh, it's just like when I was back in London. That made me feel so comfortable. And it was just an added experience that I didn't think I'd have anywhere else. So I think those were definitely my highlights.
Thanks, Levi. But that's so true. And thanks, Rosa, for asking. That's so true, though. I'm wondering if there's anyone else with an international experience where you lived there before coming to the United States, or any kind of international experience that you want to talk about. Now would be a great time to share.
I could talk about experience. So, oh, by the way, I work with Kim and Cindy in the International Education Department. I'm the new work study. I just started like my first day officially yesterday. And I could tell you guys, like, if you're thinking about traveling with them, they were going to take good care of you. If you come in, they're really like open to student engagement and you're going to feel at home. They joke with you. You're going to have a good laugh. And they're here working on the trips at all times. So they're always in here working, and they try to make the best experience possible for you. So I guarantee you, if you do end up coming on a trip, you'll have like the best time of your life. But with that being said, this past
Thanks,
year,
Sufyan. I just also want to say I did not ask him to say that at all. He totally said on his own, and that's what makes it so special. Sophia, tell us about some of your international experience.
Okay, thank you. So this past year when I turned 18 last December, I was like, I want to travel by myself. So I have a family that lives in Dubai. My aunt and cousins, they live in Dubai. They've been living there for like 8 years or something now. And so I had to I traveled there by myself, and then I met up with them there. And like that whole experience of like a 17-hour plane ride there, it was a lot. It was a long journey. And since it was COVID, it was a lot of stuff messed up. I had my COVID test, and they told me it was 72 hours before. And then when I got there, they was like, it's 48 hours. So I had to get a COVID test at the airport, and they was like, it come back in an hour. My plane leaves in 30 minutes. I'm stressing. I'm calling my mom. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Then I go back to change my flight, and they was like, oh, you have an American passport? It is 72 hours. I'm like, are you serious? The COVID test was $200. It was a lot. Yes,
Wow.
it was a lot. It was bad. So I had to rush through TSA. It was a long line. The lady in front of me, I'm so happy with her. She was like, guys, he gotta go, he gotta go. She helped me get in front of everybody. I made it in like a second. It was a lot. But when I got there, I was there for like a little bit over a month. It was because I was online school for my high school. So I was doing like school over in Dubai basically. So I was there for a good amount of time, and people think of Dubai as like very expensive because all the celebrities and stuff go there, but it's only expensive if you make it expensive. So like I had like a real like authentic experience living with my aunt. She took me a lot of places. I had home cooked meals. It was great. And it just really taught me a lot about like different places. And like, not gonna lie, Dubai feels like Manhattan if it was just clean and safe. It literally feels exactly like that. And I had an instance when I was on a train. I left my bag on the train with my wallet, my shoes, my everything. And I went back, and they was like, oh yeah, we have your bag right here. And I was just so shocked. I'm like, if I was anywhere else, if I left my bag, that would have been gone so fast. And it just made me really think about like how like it's so different. It's just so different. And once you really travel internationally, it just opened your eyes on the world, because it's like wow, it's just completely different. And it was just a great experience, and I would very much go again.
Awesome. I hope you travel with us, Sufyan,
I
while
will. Oh
you're
yeah,
here.
for sure.
Definitely.
And thank you to Miss Deborah for asking that question, because I was trying to get settled in first before I asked that question, but you asked it for me. So thank you.
So I wanted to give you another opportunity to ask questions about travel with Malloy from the student's perspective. If Shannon, you want to field any questions you have for her?
Yeah, I can take any questions or anything.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And if you'd like to put some questions in the chat, you're more than welcome to put the questions in the chat.
No questions for Shannon?
We've got one in the chat. When is the trip to Italy next summer?
Yeah, but that's not for Shannon. We'll talk about the trips. And
Unless Shannon's going.
Are you going to Italy? No, she's going to Peru.
We have a Southern Italy trip going in May 22nd to June 1st.
Yeah. No questions for Shannon? Nothing. Okay. You got off the hook, Shannon. I have a question for Shannon. Shannon, what trips are you going on with your remaining time here at Malloy?
What'd you say?
In the water?
Which trips are you planning to go on with your remaining time here at Malloy?
I'm going to be going to Vietnam this winter. I will be going to India in March, and I will be going to Peru in May.
See, the Peru trip is a service trip. We haven't necessarily hashed out the details yet, but we will be releasing that information. So if you guys don't have any questions, I would want to leave you with a few things before we sign off today. First of all, thank you for coming. And I would want to encourage you to travel while you're here at Malloy. Follow us on Instagram at Malloy Travels. If you're not already, we release all of our deadlines through and advertise all of our trips through Instagram. And you can come by our office. We are in Public Square 310. If you just want to talk about travel, you want to throw an idea out there about why aren't you guys going this place or that place, our door is always open. We're super friendly, as someone was saying earlier. We also have a world map on the wall. You can come in and put a sticker on the map where you've been in the world. It's just a fun place to be. I do not know the trip, Italy trip price at this point, but we are going to Southern Italy in May 22nd to June 1st in 2023. You can come by and talk about that as well. We have flyers just like that. You can come by and check out. But if there are no other questions, I'll let you guys go a few minutes early because it's beautiful outside. I think that's where you should be.
On behalf of the first year experience, we'd like to thank Malloy Travels, Dr. Kim Langemeyer and her staff with Cindy Hu, and of course, their fabulous administrative assistant, Amanda. And thank you very much as well as their work study. And thank you, Shannon and Levi, for coming on and talking about your experiences, as well as our FST instructors, Professor Keisha Chandler for being on here. I see Maria Esposito as well. On behalf of the first year experience, please stop by next Friday, 2 p.m. and join us for our Friday social hour. Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks,
for
Deb.
Thanks,
Everybody
everyone.
have a really
Have a great
good
weekend.
Have a great
Enjoy the
weekend.
weather.
Weekend.
Have a great
Thank you so
weekend,
much.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Where's Levi? Did he log off?